It's so nice to hear that though, because I think that like clarity holds a lot of weight, but it can also hold you back if you don't think you've got it.
This is the Energy Within podcast, all about accessing, nurturing, and building your energy and confidence so that you can design your life the way you want. My name is Carrie Jokala. I am your host. I am a Reiki practitioner, a fitness instructor, a wife, a mom to 2 little boys, and this is episode 71, part 2. So I didn't mention in the intro for part 1 that it was part 1, because at the time that we recorded the interview, I wasn't really thinking that I was going to release a part 2, but I was thinking after the fact, after my interview with Belle was done, and I was thinking about what we talked about after the interview was technically over, but I still had the record button going. We launched into talking about clarity and really following your heart and following your path. She started asking me a couple of questions, and I started describing how I got from this point of rockstar confidence to transitioning it to being the energy within, and why I did that, and where I saw myself going, and this whole talk around, should you niche down? How much clarity do you need? And I wanted to, with her permission, I got her permission, of course, to share this part of our conversation. It's not very long, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it after as well. So I'm going to share what we talked about and then do a little summary as well. And I don't know, I feel like maybe Belle and I could do another talk on this, another whole separate thing. I won't do too much more describing before letting you listen in. So here we go.
Really cool. And like, I love what you're about, because it is so important to focus on what we can do. And like, I heard where you changed it from rockstar confidence to the energy within as well.
Yeah.
What prompted you to change it?
So I really did like the name Rockstar Confidence, but I just wasn't feeling like it fully described what I was moving into, because initially it was just like, okay, what's the struggle that I've had in life? And the biggest struggle for me was always confidence. And I've had lots of ups and downs and big light bulb moments and things like that. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll start, teaching people about confidence, and I'll be a confidence coach. And I was going down that path, but I never felt like I had like full clarity around like, what do I do? Who do I help? And middle of last year, I finally dove in and started taking training in Reiki. And I've also always loved meditation. I haven't been able to really do much of it since I had kids, but I know that when I had a good practice going, like, things in my life were so much better. So, meditation is part of, getting into doing the Reiki and stuff like that. And then I still have like the fitness aspect, and I was struggling too. I'm like, how do I connect? Because in my mind, they're connected. Like, it's all, you need all facets of it, but it's like Reiki and meditation, fitness. And then people will be like, all the gurus out there are like, you're doing too many things, you need to pick one. I'm like, I'm like, I can't just pick one. I can't, because I love teaching classes, I love fitness, and I want that to be part of the journey. It's all connected. And when I started looking at just the idea of how Reiki is energy, and you're moving energy, and mom energy, and I'm tired all the time, but then you have your spiritual energy, your mental energy, like so many facets of it. I'm like, I feel like that's the direction I'm moving, where that's kind of like you're using these tools of Reiki and meditation and fitness to access and nurture and build your energy, which leads to confidence. When I've had the experience from receiving Reiki, like helping to boost my confidence and remove, some deep-seated fears and things that I've had, and just allow myself to move forward that way. So like confidence is still like the end goal and the end result, but I felt in renaming it and having the energy focus kind of helped, I guess, connect it all together.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I so relate to what you're saying there, because so when I wrote the book, it felt completely different to having done business coaching for women and helping them work out what they wanted to do and get launched online and everything. And I'd done that for 7 years. And then I wrote this book and I felt so disconnected, because this one's all like, even though it was still about helping women, like, you know, really believe in themselves again and build better boundaries and recognize their value, it felt like there's like book and business. So hearing you say that, like there's fitness and confidence, and then there's Reiki. Like, I feel that like falling into the confusion pit is the suckiest place to find yourself, because you're like, why can't I love both these things? Why do they have to say, you know, I think it was even a friend of mine who's a documentary maker. She sent me a thing around how it's like the riches are in the niches.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah. And then I'd only just posted, I think it was yesterday, no, the riches come from transactions and the actions are in the transactions, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's like actions make transactions. Don't worry about trying to choose your niche and get rich. Just worry about taking an action.
Yeah. Well, and then I hear like these, you know, everybody's got their own message and their own path, and that's fine. But there's like conflicting messages that I've heard from people that I follow, where it's like, you know, people jump in. Like I even saw in a group, like, you know, someone asked, you know, would I be crazy to make a blog that's about art and health? You know, like the same thing, like two things that on the surface seem very disparate from each other, but they are connected. Like, you know, when you dig deeper into it, they can be connected. So why not? Because I'm sure someone else was probably telling her like, no, you got to pick one or you're going to confuse people. It's like, no. And then I've heard other people like, no, you can combine these things beautifully. They go together so well. And then other people saying like, no, you got to pick one thing. You can do all the things later, but you got to do one thing first. I'm like, no, I don't have time. Like, I'm going to do it all right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh, that's so nice to hear. So yeah, it really is so nice to hear, to say, you know what, I'm about this and I'm also about this, and there you go. So yeah, it's empowering to do it, because when you do it, other people start doing it and saying, I've got permission. I don't have to pick one. If I want to pick two, I'm picking two. And you know what? If I want to pick three, then I'm going to pick three.
Yeah. The thing for me was just finding a way to get clarity around how to describe it. Because like I said, in my mind, I see how they're connected. I was just having trouble describing that so that it made sense to other people. So, you know, going through like the rebrand, I'm like, okay, this is, you know, this is the branch, this is the topic, and then this is how they interweave with each other. So
yeah. And I have that sitting there. So I'm still very much about like bravery and stuff, but it's whether you're being brave in business or like in your relationships and setting those boundaries. It's like it all comes down to that. So yeah, it's true. Clarity is a big thing, which is funny because like I've started work on book number 2, which I need to finish it before I release it. But that is all around like finding your you when you've lost yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So how do you do it, and what's the process? So that's a little bit more of a tool book around here's how I approach it.
Yeah.
So yeah, which is cool. So yeah, it's so nice to hear that though, because I think that like clarity holds a lot of weight, but it can also hold you back if you don't think you've got it.
Right. Yep. So that's the thing. So I still feel like there's a certain level of clarity that I still need to figure out, particularly in regards to who I help. I have a general idea. I feel like mompreneurs are part of that, but I don't feel like it's the whole thing. I've got to do some journaling and figure this out. But I wanted to share that because I feel like if you listen to my podcast, if you're following me, you're likely in the same boat as me, where you know you're here for something bigger and you're in the middle of trying to figure that out and gaining the courage and the strength and the confidence to really go after it. And things like this are what have held me back. So It sounds like it has been an issue for Belle as well, so maybe it's been for you. I completely understand the push to have people niche down and how that can actually help you build faster, because even though you might be targeting a smaller group of people, you're targeting people who are looking specifically for what you have because you know exactly what it is. And those people know what they're looking for. When you're too broad and you're speaking to everybody, it makes sense that you're kind of speaking to nobody. You can't be everything to everyone. But the trick for me was not necessarily just the niching down part, but figuring out a way, like I was saying, to gain some clarity around how the multiple things that I use as tools now all connect together in a way that makes sense. I'm not an advocate for not niching down in the sense where you're trying to do like 5 different, completely different types of things all at the same time. That's when you're for sure going to run into issues. But when there's something where it makes sense in your head that a couple different things go together and that's your one thing, is combining these things into that one thing. You know, that's where I feel like it's different from trying to do all the things. I don't even know if that makes sense. If you're listening to this and it's resonating, let me know. Let me know if you've been in the same boat, if you are in the same boat, if this is making sense. This isn't meant to be a business podcast necessarily, but like I said, I feel like at least a portion of the people that would resonate with what I'm doing and the people that I've done Reiki for have all really been mompreneurs. So I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that. This isn't meant to be a long part 2. I just really wanted to share that part of the conversation because I felt like it was so good. And it was not that anything prior was inauthentic, but it was just us just chatting. And I felt like it might resonate. So I wanted to share it. So let me know if it did. Share it to your social media and tag me and let me know. Tag Belle and let her know. Hop into the Energy Within Facebook group where you can give feedback. You can participate in group Reiki and live card pulls. Jump into my virtual fitness studio and take care of your physical energy. And then come do a Reiki session with me one-on-one and take care of your emotional and your spiritual energy. I'm here for you. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this little snippet, and I will see you next week.